Hello, hello. Here we are for a very angry new podcast, live stream. I'm not happy, not happy at all. And you probably know why. So let me turn the sound off here. Yes. Oh, we are running. And here we are. Hi, everybody. Phew! That was some sprint race. Holy moly. Everything happened. But not everything that happened was good. And yeah, we're going to talk about that. So, hello, living on the edge. Hello, Aoife. I just have problems calling you bastard, so I'm just calling you Aoife. Hey, they're Gentiles. I forgot to text you, Richard, but I'm glad you're here. And there's Hank. Hello, Hank. Always there. Did you see my podcast yet, Hank? Or did not have time yet? And there's Tanvir. Hello, Tanvir. Oh my lord. Whew. That was hectic. Crazy with the weather and yeah. There's a new name. I'm Pravane. No, Pranave. Hello, Pranave. Let me guess. You're from India. Um, yeah, plenty have happened. Der Baron. Hello, Der Baron. Surely Toto will get to know Lily next week, no? Yeah, if he goes to Monaco, he might be able to see her when they sign the contract. You know, performances like this will not help Red Bull keep Max there. But we'll talk more about that later. I'm just going to fill in a couple of minutes until we have a few more people in. And then I'm just going to start the content. No, I just have a normal IQ, but I'm good at guessing Pranave. Oh, Lord. Yeah. McLaren's are still the strongest. Then the Mercedes cars look very good for a bit. During quali, Russell didn't take the risk because he wasn't completely at ease. Where Max set a second lap on older tires and he managed to improve 3/10. So, yeah, um, that was pretty much qualifying, and Max was hoping to be able to do something in the race. And when I saw that it was wet, I had good hopes for this sprint because it's a great leveler. But yeah, on these inters, Max didn't come close to the McLarens. Eva says the mental weakling was gifted another Miami safety car. Yep. It's typical that he wins twice due to a safety car when he said it was just luck, no skill after Brazil. And Tanvir says, I don't know, I haven't watched the sprint, but how come Verstappen is in P17? Well, we're going through the race. I've wrote down 8 points that we're going to discuss. Hey, Samantha, you're using the wrong account. This one has our surname on it. And Amit has the same question. You also didn't see the sprint? Well, we're going through it step by step. So, Um, yes, Hank, that's exactly what Antonelli did, and he definitely succeeded because he put it on pole. Also because Oscar Piastri made a tiny little mistake. But yeah, so far Piastri hasn't done any like flawless qualifying laps in Q3. I think he scored one pole. So yeah, we've got 20 people in, which is a good number, and it's 8:05. So let's dive into the sprint race of the Miami GP. Even before the race started, a lot happened because it started pissing down. There was a lot of rain and the track was really wet. And when the cars were doing their reconnaissance laps, some of them went out on wets and some of them went out on inters. And poor Charles Leclerc went out on intermediates, and he wasn't doing anything crazy, but he just aquaplaned on pretty much the end of a it was pretty much on a straight, and he just went into the wall. And I saw immediately that the car was busted, but he just kept pushing on, hoping to get that car back into the pits. And then he started losing bits, and the wheels were all fucked up. So yeah, um, I think he's gonna get at least a big old warning for driving on with a damaged car. Um, so yeah, that was out of the 20 drivers, already one out. Then the FIA decided to postpone the start, so they pulled a red flag because they pretty much counted the laps, the reconnaissance laps, as laps, but not that the race was started, which was a bit confusing. Even the people at Sky Sports and Ted Kravitz, they didn't know exactly what was happening, and it turned out that Ted Kravitz was right. The race hadn't started yet, but they took the laps off. Otherwise, they would have gotten in trouble with the fuel. So let me go to the chat because I see a lot of names here. There's Ronnie D. Hello, Ronnie D. Welcome, welcome. Why does McLaren always screw up and seems always against Oscar? Well, they pitted Oscar first because he was leading, and they didn't know Alonso was going to crash after a tangle with Liam Lawson. So yeah, I don't blame them too much for this. And then another question: could they have double stacked? Should have. Yeah, that's always a hard one, you know. If you're 1-2 and you don't want to lose 3 seconds, and then somebody loses 2 positions, so it's a hard one. Shanton 14. F1 quali delayed 15 minutes. Oh, well, that suits me fine if my live stream goes over a little bit. And there's my wife, Samantha. Yes, you were on your personal one, but now you're on your Samantha one. Silent hour. Red Bull needs to get rid of the flipping light. Yes. Or, well, we'll talk about that later. Shanton14 says, as a huge Alonso fan, it's now to a stage where it's wanting me to turn off this season. Yeah, it's not looking good. And I've heard that Adrian Newey refuses to work on this car because he's got his hands full with the 2026 car. So it's not going to be any better this season. Hank says, Charles aquaplaned off the back straight. And Hank says, this time Alonso's crash was to blame. But he got touched in the rear by Liam Lawson. So I haven't seen the replay of it. And I'm not a steward, but I don't think that was Alonso's fault. Okay, so that was point 1. Charles Leclerc, the unlucky Charles Leclerc, in a car that was 99% changed because a certain Lewis Hamilton was coming to his team. And the car is poorer now. The strategy at Ferrari is still as bad. And he's still unlucky with unnecessary crashes. FML. Okay, so finally the race got started. And Antonelli was the first one, or was on pole, so he was the first one to go into his grid box. And Oscar Piastri has very good starts, as we saw the last race in Jeddah. And yeah, he pushed forward, and with the new rules of engagement with owning a corner, Oscar Piastri claimed the corner and pushed Antonelli off. And Antonelli lost 3 places, ended up behind Max Verstappen. And I felt sorry for Antonelli because, yeah, he didn't expect that much violence to be thrown at him. I tweeted that Oscar Piastri races like Max Verstappen, with one difference, that nobody seems to mind it when Oscar Piastri does it. I'm for 100% certain that if Max would have done that to an Antonelli, like centimeter for centimeter, exactly the same, Twitter and Sky Sports would have been out of their mind saying that Max is driving is too aggressive and the FIA is crazy for allowing it. But yeah, the rules have been changed, and this is what it is. If you're alongside, mirror to mirror, you can claim the corner and you're allowed to drive the other driver off. And if you ask me, how did they come to this rule? Well, it was the drivers in conversation with the FIA that decided on this. And Antonelli was very mature when he found out that that Oscar Piastri didn't get a penalty. He said, okay, that's good to know. So he's basically saying, for future reference, if I'm in that situation, I'll chuck somebody off the track as well. Which was pretty interesting. But yeah, I felt sorry for Antonelli. I was hoping that he could maintain and get his first sprint win, or at least a sprint podium or something. For him to be out of the points due to an accident that happened later, which I'll talk about later, is just really, really unfortunate. Let's go to the chat. Silent Hour says, I wonder if we get to see Mad Max now. I don't know. I saw an interview with him, and he was like, yeah, what do I need to say about what happened in the pit lane? You know, it's very clear. So, and the race itself was pretty boring because he saw the gap getting bigger to McLaren, and he was maintaining the gap behind him. So, yeah, that's pretty much all he said in the interview. And Shanton says, I don't mind about Newey not working on this car because it was basically impossible to recover. But in races like this, points would have been possible and opportunities gone again, just like that. Yes, but Fernando Alonso was asking for slicks way before Hamilton and Stroll got pitted. And they didn't. And then by the time they did, it was already a little bit too late. And then he got into that tangle with Liam Lawson. Hank says, yeah, Alonso tangled with Lawson, but the timing paid off for Norris. Yes. It was just a lucky Norris win again in Miami. Eva says, Albon and Lawson still under investigation. Lance could well end up in P5. Okay. People are going to hate that he's the sole scorer in Aston Martin and way more than Alonso. Silent Hour, even his own pit crew is against him. We only have to see at Saudi Max is always versus McLaren, the FIA, and now his own pit crew. Glad that Antonelli didn't care about the Max incident, but was mad about the Piastri one though. That's true, but yeah, he's very mature for an 18-year-old, and you know, you can take off that pole thing, and he can be confident that he has pace in that car, and we're going to see different qualifying later, but we'll talk about that later. Oh, there's another new name, Ivo Božič. And I guess you're more from an Eastern European country? Please let us know. Ivo Božič says, Lawson was ahead at the apex with Alonso, so I'd expect no penalty. Okay, well, that's good to know. And Richard says, having become a father maybe puts things into a different perspective for Max. Yeah, um, being present at a birth um, is very stressful. I've done it twice, and after that, uh, yeah, scoring no points in a sprint race is nothing to get worked up about. Or he's saving it all for after the qualifying, because he is going to blow at some point. And there's Christina. Hello, Christina. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lance is the GOAT. I keep telling that all the time. Well, it's good that he has one fan. And Tanvir says, I don't know, I feel bad for both Alonso and Max. Yeah, true. Henk is correcting Christina about Lance Stroll. Eva says, add me some of that Kool-Aid, will ya? And there's Anthony Manzano. Hello, I just subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much, Anthony. And can you also let us know where you're from? Because I'm curious. And Silent Hour says, I felt for Leclerc too. He's like the black sheep, always unlucky. He is. Very much so. But yeah. Evo is from Australia. So I used to watch an Australian TV show called I think it was Heartbreak High, but a school, and one of the main characters was also Australian Croatian. I think his name was Drazik. He was a cool guy. But anyway, that's something else. Anthony says, I'm watching you from across the pond in the southeast. You're in Florida. Very nice. So it's a home race for you then. Are you close to Miami? Okay, and Christina is talking to Eva. So, okay, what was the next point? Yes, Max escaped the penalty for starting outside of the pit box. And I could only go by what I saw from the footage on the F1 feed, but it looked like he was that much outside of the box. So how that was allowed, I don't know. We'll probably get photos from another side where he's on that line for a millimeter or something, but it looked weird. What was funny is that Martin Brundle, after everything that happened in that race, couldn't let it go and had to mention it about 5 times. So 5 times in 18 laps, he had to talk about Max escaping that penalty, which is typical. I mean, I love Sky Sports. I'm pretty much the only Dutch person that likes Martin Brundle and David Croft. But yeah, they do these things. And like I said, not a peep about Piastri, the way he attacked, saying it was too aggressive, or I know that would have had they would have been disgusted if Max had done it, but yeah. Okay, well that was point 3. Point 4. The race went on for a bit and it was pretty dull. The McLarens were making the lead a little bit bigger. I think at some point Norris was quicker than Piastri and he was gaining on him. I think they even tried an attack, and then Piastri took the escape road once. And while that was going on, Max just saw them go further and further, and behind him they couldn't get close to Max, so he was pretty much in no man's land. But then they pitted Yuki Tsunoda, who had nothing to lose. He was one of the first ones to go on slicks, and they noticed that he was, I don't know, 4 seconds a lap quicker, or even 6. It was ridiculous how much quicker the inters were, the slicks were. So they called Max in for the pit, to pit as well, and this was after a call from Max saying Max had seen that Lewis Hamilton had pitted for slicks, and he goes, GP, let me know the lap times of Lewis Hamilton, because I don't think I can last much longer on these inters. So it's basically his own call as well. And I was about to tweet that, and then he pitted, and then it happened. Max was released in the path of Kimi Antonelli, and it wasn't a hard crash, but yeah, their wheels touched, and Max lost, that wing that's on the wheel, and yeah, it was a slam dunk, unsafe release, and it begs the question: what the hell is happening with Red Bull? Like, we've had 5 races, 2 sprint races. I don't think I've seen a 2 second flat pit stop yet from the pit crew. We've seen pit stops of 6.4 seconds. We've seen pit stop of 3.6 seconds. We've seen pit stop of 4.6 seconds. Oh, gotta sneeze. And I think it's because Jonathan Wheatley left, because he was the coach of the pit crew, and maybe it's also because Callum Nicholas, the tall black fella, he quit because he finished the book, and it was too much of a strain on his life. So but yeah, maybe they're missing these guys, Jonathan Wheatley and everything. But if there was something you could count on with Red Bull, it was snappy strategy, quick pit stops, and making it work. And now they're losing points big time because of it. And this is exactly the reason why. This is exactly not what you want in a season as close as this. These things should have gone wrong in 2023 when Max had the dominant car. Yeah, it's such a shame. And I'm working up an idea to make a video about. Remember about a year ago when the big row was going on, and Jos Verstappen said, if Christian Horner stays, the whole team will fall apart. And he probably already knew what Jonathan Wheatley and Adrian Newey and everybody was planning on doing. So Jos Verstappen was talking to Mercedes. But all I can say now is that Jos was right. The team is falling apart. And maybe it's logical after, a few years of big success that things go downhill a bit. And then you need to give your staff the time to build up again in confidence and skill and whatever. But Max doesn't have that time, because he knows his time in Formula 1 is limited, because he doesn't want to be there until he's 40. So I don't think he has the time to stay with Red Bull for another 4 years until there's years of glory again. And especially when these things happen, the discussion whether Max should stay or leave, they pop up again, And it's not for nothing that Toto Wolff hasn't signed a new contract with George Russell yet. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing a video saying Jos was right, and then in the video I explain all the stuff that he said and all the stuff that's going wrong. I think that might do okay. I have a lot of subscribers who love Jos Verstappen. I have a big older Dutch crowd being subscribed to my channel, so this might a video like that might go viral, which is something I haven't had for a while. Okay, let me go back to the chat. What have I all missed? Okay. Don't know what he's talking about. I have a question, says Anthony. Would you compare the sprint in Formula 1 to what you see with NASCAR dual races? I've never seen a NASCAR race in my life. And I've never seen an IndyCar race either. I only follow Formula 1. And I don't have time for other series. I thought about following Formula 2 just to see what youngsters are coming. But yeah, if that happens on a Saturday morning early, then I want to go to the gym. I want to do shopping. And then I want to watch Formula 1. I don't even have time to watch everything. So yeah, I can't answer that question. Maybe somebody else in the chat can, that watches for NASCAR. And Silent Hour says, The guy with the F in line is blind. Yeah, the release sucked. Mm. Okay, Anthony has a wild theory here. I'm not sure if this seems like a possible theory, maybe because of the rumors that Formula One and the FIA want to take away Red Bull's development team and possibly give it to Cadillac or Porsche. Interesting. And there's a new name, Ricky. Hello, Ricky. Wheatley wanted promotion anyway, so may have not been involved with the crew. Well, that's a good one because he basically wanted Horner's position. But then again, if he was still in the team, maybe he would have tackled these issues earlier on, by coaching the new head of the team department. You never know. But you do have a point. If Jonathan Wheatley had gotten that promotion, he wouldn't be running the pit crew team anymore. So, point for you, Ricky. And Tanvir says, once Red Bull was known as king of sub 2 sec pit stop. I think for 6 years they were in the top 10 of quickest pit stop 8 times every season. And now it's just gone. I can't read everything out, guys, so if you want to have a question answered, then yeah. Eva says, why would Toto sign a new contract with Russell? He's got the world's best wingman for Antonelli under contract already. Remember, Toto will never ever tolerate another Hamilton-Rosberg scenario. Yeah, that's interesting. You're saying that Russell won't get a contract, and then Valtteri Bottas will get the second seat to help Antonelli. Interesting. I wouldn't mind that either, though. Anthony says, Wimbo, what are your opinions on the performances for Ferrari, McLaren, and Aston Martin today in Miami? Ferrari was not very good. McLaren were the dominant team. And Aston Martin, they were the 5th quickest team. So, yeah. What can I say? Okay, next point. Point 5 is Lando's lucky safety car. He was lucky that he was in P2 and that they pitted him a lap later. It's something that could have cost him because the rest of the track was already doing faster laps. But as he was called in, the incident with Alonso and Lawson happened. And he lucked out again because, when he was taking his pit stop, everybody slowed down and he got ahead of Piastri. And Piastri said, safety car again for Lando. You should buy lottery tickets here. Which was a very dry sense of humor, doing it that way. I enjoyed that. What do you call him? Oscar always has a nice way of putting things. I have great respect for his sense of humor and his calm demeanor. Love the guy. But anyway, this little bit of luck might give Norris confidence again, and seeing he's a guy that runs on vibes that much, it might give him confidence for qualifying. And if he's ahead of Oscar in qualifying, then all kinds of stuff can happen in the race as well, because Oscar is. I think for an exciting race, it's better to have Oscar behind Norris, because Oscar will push. He'll ask the team if they can swap, or he'll do an attempt, which is what we want to see. Because, God forgive me for saying this, I'd love to see a little bit of an incident between the two McLaren drivers. That would be spicy as hell. I'd love to see how Zach Brown and Andrea Stella, who seem very confident they can handle anything, how they handle that. The British media crying their eyes out, and Lando Norris and his, yeah, 15-year-old girl army backing him up, and then the Australian army getting ready to fight on Twitter, and Mark Webber slamming his glass down. That would be spicy indeed. Okay, guys, I just remembered. It's a new month again. I might be able to give away 10 more free subscriptions. Yes, I can. Boop. So here's 5 new members for free. Hey, Samantha, my wife. Thank you. Hefty Metal, don't know him. Crystal Racing, I've seen him. Siva, Shikir Aurora, and Miami Burras. Hey, that's a typical name. We just had a race in Miami. Oh, is that what he said, Ipa? I'll never buy a lottery ticket in Miami. I thought he said Lando should buy a lottery ticket in Miami. What other chats have I missed? Okay, yeah, I haven't missed anything. Hey, Crystal Racing. You got a free membership for a month. So make sure you watch my extra content. It's fun. I like having you on my team, Samantha. You're here every live stream. Okay, I'm gonna give 5 5 more. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Here's another 5 free memberships coming to you now. Boom. And who have we got? Daniel Miles, Scarfy, AFCA NSF, Mai Smith, Joris Roos. Well, welcome to my small community. Okay. What was the next point? Yeah, Lando Lucky Safety Car. Did anybody have to say anything about Lando? I was trying to figure out why everybody hated him so much. And then in doing so, I found out that many people just have a proper dislike of him because he seemed entitled and his dad's a billionaire, and yeah. Has everybody seen the podcast I made, the Battle podcast with Mr. Pulse and Law VS? It was a good one. And in views, it's got about 650 views now from the top of my head, which is okay for my podcasts. But the watch time, I've got 135 hours watch time. And that's great because, yeah, that means that a lot of people watched it till the end. But, yeah, watch it tomorrow morning or something. It's a really good podcast. It's funny. And there's a lot of information in it. Yeah, Eva, Alan Jones had something to say about Lando Norris. That he was just weak-minded. Yeah, Samantha, my wife, is the sweetest person. She doesn't dislike anybody. If I say, I saw that guy again, and I fucking hate that guy, he's like, oh, he's always nice to me. So for Samantha to say Lando Norris rubs her the wrong way, then there must be something wrong with Lando Norris because Samantha has instincts. Okay, what's point 6? Oh yes, point 6 is I feel sorry for Kimi Antonelli, and it just shows that happiness and despair are so closely matched in Formula One. Like, you can go from zero to hero in one day, but you can also go from hero to zero. And you know what? He might qualify sixth today, and get a podium tomorrow in a weird race. And then he'll be disappointed with the qualifying, and he'll be happy in the race because he scored his first podium. It could happen. But we'll talk about the prediction for tomorrow later on in the live stream. It's just yeah, I felt sorry for Kimi Antonelli because he clearly wasn't prepared to fight like Piastri did in turn one, and yeah, it's an interesting rule because I think uh, if you're the car that's being overtaken, yeah, and you pretty much know that the car's alongside, then you just have to give in. And none of the drivers want to do that, and that's why you get these weird situations. But that's what they need to do, because if he slotted, if he lifted a little bit and slotted in behind Piastri, he wouldn't have lost those two positions. But yeah, it's a weird one that that the racing rules are decided like that by the drivers themselves. But yeah, he clearly wasn't prepared to fight like that, and that's why he lost these positions, and that kind of ruined his race because, like one thing leads to the next, like the butterfly effect. You know, if Antonelli had only lost one place at the start, then they would have pitted him at a different moment, and then he wouldn't have been in the pit lane when Max was coming out of the pit lane, and it would have saved both their races. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just funny how these things come together. Hey, there's Vegas with a super thanks. He's my biggest contributor. Okay, a little damp but great fun. Did you enjoy the sprint? The Cuban Sammies are mind blowing. I don't know what Cuban Sammies are. Are they cigars? Kimmy looked so good coming into today. Okay, I like this. Thank you, Vegas. I enjoyed the sprint. There was plenty of stuff happening, but I'm angry with Red Bull for messing up the pit stop again. And yeah, this is not what we need in a tight championship like this. I still want to know what Cuban Sammies are, but I think they're cigars. You're there at the track, aren't you, Vegas? Vegas is one of these people that goes to like 10 races a year. Just goes to Australia, and then yeah, you can see him pop up everywhere. Christina says Lando just seems to have all those ugly Scorpio qualities: salty, jealous, judgy. And I know I'm a Scorpio too. So, are you into star signs, or what do you call it? Horoscope? Yeah. Christina, if you see my personality, what do you think I am? I'm interested if you can guess. Oh, Vegas. Hot sandwiches are hot Sammies. Right. Ooh, Samantha's Scorpio too. But you're not jealous. You're judgy. No, you're not judgy either. Oh, Hank is a Scorpio too. That's funny. No, I'll tell you what my star sign is. my horoscope. I was once asked by an English girl years and years ago, and I didn't know the word for my star sign. So she said, "So what's your horoscope?" And I said, "I'm a lobster," because lobster is the Dutch word for kreeft, which is cancer. Um, she got it, but we did laugh about it. Um, yeah. Okay. Formula One. Formula One. Anything else about Kimi Antonelli? Um, he'll get there. You know what he showed in that qualifying was impressive, and he was a lovely guy. He reacted to what happened in the sprint very mature. So I'm rooting for him tomorrow. I'm hoping for a Max win, a Leclerc P2, and a Kimi Antonelli P3. That's what I'm hoping for. Ah, see? Christina thinks I'm a Cancer. Well, this is what I am. Okay. That was everything that happened in the race on my account. Now, guys, if you know anything else that happened in the race that I haven't mentioned, just bring it up and we'll chat about it. But now we're going to talk about the qualifying. And I'm going to do a little poll. Because I can start a poll. Who will get poll today? Piastri, Norris, Yep. Mihai. Hey, Mihai. Welcome from Romania. Live long and prosper. Ronnie, we're going to do a poll about the win later. First, we're going to do the pole position. Yeah, qualifying. Yeah, the McLarens look the fastest, but then the Mercedes look very fast in the qualifying as well. But then Alex Albon asked the question whether the Mercedes car was legal. Well, he actually said there's no way that car is legal. So what I've been hearing is that Mercedes had set the car up really low for the qualifying for the sprint and the sprint itself, because that doesn't wear the plank down too much. But for the race, they can't do that. So I expect Russell and Antonelli to be a little bit more further back in qualifying and the race, because you can't do that for a longer term. And I think the Parc Fermé is gone between the sprint race and qualifying. So now they can change setups on the car, and then the cars go in Parc Fermé again until the race has been. So yeah, that's gonna be that's what I think about the Mercedes cars. Then Yuki Tsunoda, he didn't even make it out of Q3 because he set a shitty lap, and then he couldn't set a second lap at all, which was pretty sloppy. And so let's see where he ends up. Max will probably be around P4 again. Maybe even P3, because the Mercedes won't be there. I don't see the Ferraris doing anything special. Yeah. So I think the poll is going to be between Norris and Piastri. And I'm just going to say Norris is going to get pole because it'll be better for the race. Like, imagine Oscar Piastri doing a move on Lando Norris in turn one like that. That's dangerous. That would be amazing. Okay, let's end this poll. And we'll talk about it. We have 11 votes. Piastri will get pole. And then Verstappen second. And Norris 9%. So, okay. Let me see what the people who said other. Hank says quali, Max top 3. Does the poll give any luck, or else it's a jinx? It'll have no influence on the results. Kimi can do it again, says Aoife. I don't think so. And Christina says, I go for Oscar. He must be pissed. Well, what about Leclerc? He's got something to make up. That would be awesome. Crashing out before the sprint race and then putting it on pole a couple hours later. Hank says the Mercedes has to be raised just like the Ferrari. Yeah, that's what I think as well. Ronnie says Lando whines all the time. He comes off soft. Oscar comes across as a lunch bucket type of guy. Okay, but no more captions, please. Maybe one word here and there. There's no need to scream. Samantha says, I voted Max as I would hate for him to have left his family so soon for nothing. So manifesting a win. That's sweet. Hank says, Lando won pole except for the champagne. And Aoife says, no, Albon was referring to Russell's exceeding the maximum delta time. All right. I thought it was about running the car lower. Okay. I missed that. Christina thinks Charles is going to be P5 if they get the car right. Okay. Silent Hour says, say Max just needs some luck with the FIA grinding his balls all day. And Ronnie says, Kimi is the real deal, and I see him and Oscar competing for future championships. Yeah, I see that happening too. Question is, will it rain during quali? I don't know the weather at the minute. I need to ask Vegas. He's there. Yeah, I know, Christina. The Ferraris aren't there yet. It's a pity. Okay, new poll. Because we're going to talk about the race now. Who will win the race tomorrow? Max. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh. Hank says Lando's going to bottle it again. Yeah, that's interesting too. He might be gone already, Christina, Vegas. He just popped in to say hi and give you super thanks. Yeah, what am I expecting for the race tomorrow? It could be raining again, but the McLarens were still quicker in the rain, so I think the best outcome would be a Lando pole, Oscar Piastri second, them two pushing, and an incident, and then Max winning, and Leclerc and Antonelli getting the podium. I said that at the start of the live stream as well, but that's what my vibe says. Yes, it's not realistic, but story wise, that would be amazing, you know, for content and for the championship, because we don't want one driver running away with it, you know. Um, if Oscar wins, then he scores, I don't know, 15 points more than Max again, and the gap is going to be like 40 points. That's good. It's come to a point where it's a bit too much. So that's what I'm thinking about the race tomorrow. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. No, Christina, I don't want them to crash big time. Just, you know, a bit of an incident where they, yeah, one needs a new wing and the other one just goes off track and loses 5, 6 positions, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not my fault McLaren chose two drivers who are so close in performance. They're proud of having two number one drivers. Pranave has a question. Wimbo, do you think the race for Max has become a little boring and frustrating as he doesn't seem to be closing the car in front and the team bottles up the strategy, pit stop, and everything? Well, he's annoyed. I don't think he'll ever find racing boring. Racing is still his favorite thing. Press conferences and doing funny bits with the team. That's what he finds boring, and he's released of a lot of those duties as well this season. So meetings with sponsors and stuff, yeah, he can do without. But the racing, even if the car is not 100%, he still loves that. And he's working hard with the team to get it all done. There will be a point in the summer where if he isn't in P3, lower than P3, that's what I've heard, then he gets to decide whether he will leave the team or stay. And he says that he's not busy, he's not doing it, he's not thinking about that at all. But yeah, I think his manager and his father, his team is talking to other teams. There is a plan B. There's no doubt about it. Hey, there's Equity. Equity is very active since well, pretty much last week. And yeah, we have some good conversations in the comments of the videos. And it was nice to see you in the chat of the premiere of the podcast. So thank you. Yeah, Equity says don't want one driver running away with it unless it's Max, of course. Of course. I'm not gonna lie. Christina says no incidents. With Charles's luck, Lady Fortuna would curse Charles with another incident instead of McLaren. Yeah. Well, we're all gonna manifest good stuff for Charles. Here, I'm manifesting for Charles. Yes? If we all do this, then Charles will have a brilliant race tomorrow. Okay, I can quit the poll. Let me see what it brings up. We have 14 votes. Oscar, 50%. Max, 35%. Lando, 14%. And nobody chose any others. Okay. This could be the top 3. Wouldn't be too bad. Charles had set aside some special time with Our Lady of Lourdes when F1 returns to Europe. Yeah. Ferrari, in all her wisdom, chose to change a perfect working car for 99%. Yeah. And all the luck in the world from Lady Lourdes is not going to save Charles from Ferrari. But yeah, those two are bound together, Ferrari and Charles and Ferrari. Ah. 5 more minutes, guys. So if you have any questions, any topics you want to have, 5 more minutes, and then I'm out of here. Preparing myself for the quali. Silent Hour says, I just got an epiphany. Lance Stroll crashes and does something dumb again, giving Max a win. This quali feels like Brazil. Okay. Christina says, yep, that's Ferrari, destroyer of all hopes and dreams. Yep. But you know, what's funny is that like a lot of people feel this way about Ferrari. And then I made a video about Ferrari and their mistakes, or how they messed up 2025 and beyond. And it's got 400 views. And that's even for my small channel, that's very little. So yeah, sometimes I don't understand the algorithm, you know, because I thought it was a decent video. Also, I'm closing in on 4K subscribers, which is something that I'm looking forward to. 2 years ago, I didn't even have like 500, so I'm very happy with that. I'll probably do a little live stream about the 4K subscribers, if you don't mind. Someone says, I can just picture him running around saying, Jesus was lost, Jesus was found, in the hopes of finding his luck again. Right, Samantha. Yeah, it's worth a try, Eva. The Irish love their saints. Oh, what are we going to talk about now? I think I handled everything. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have a race in. Oh, let me see. Oh. Imola. Yeah. Imola. A lot of upgrades in Imola. I'm also working on a video about how Formula One is catering more to the rich people, and they're doing all the races on tracks where they pay like 50-60 million to have a race there, or they're organizing the races themselves. City race, what do you call them? Street tracks. And yeah, I have a reason to believe why they do this, which I'm gonna explain in that video. Which is I'm working on it. Yeah, exactly, Christina. A lot of upgrades there. Right, guys. Thank you all very much for joining this live stream. I had a blast. I'm glad I got it all out of my system. You know, the anger with Red Bull for their stupid pit stops. And as I said before, an angry Max on Saturday is a happy Max on Sunday. And that's what I'm hoping for. So, Silent Hour, Henk, Christina, Tanveer, Eva, Samantha. Enjoy the qualifying later and have a brilliant race tomorrow. And I'll see you all next week. Take care now.